In 2023, the government put the nation's housing deficit statistics at 28 million units with an estimated funding need of 21 trillion naira. Though there may be a slight change in the projection now, considering the passage of time, the implication remains that a large number of citizens do not either have roofs over their heads or not capable of affording the available few. This, according to findings, has been an age-long challenge seeking solutions. Solutions many believe can be found, whereas others, there is none in sight. Whether there is a solution to it or not, what is clear is that deliberate efforts by relevant individuals, corporate organizations, and governments can at least make attempts to solving the problem. Today, we shall try to explore the critical factors that have made the housing deficit a persistent problem while seeking to find possible solutions to it. It is another edition of the show, the Sunday Show on Africa Independent Television, AIT, and I'm glad that you could join us. My name is Obia Ajoro Iwerumo, welcoming you to the show. Shelter is one of the basic needs of every living being, and the scarcity of it becomes a concern to every well-meaning individual entity, and most especially the government. This is one of the reasons why some governments at various levels have made attempts at solving this problem, though the establishment of housing schemes, some built for their office holders, some built for their civil servants, how the houses are distributed most times are laden with one problem of corruption or the other. But clearly, these efforts underscore the importance of shelter to human existence. Today, one major concern, apart from the inadequate number of houses, is the outrageous cost of renting the houses. Some of these issues will be examined in our interview section. As special as today's episode is, my associate anchor, McQueen Joseph, exclusively engages one of Nigeria's foremost real estate managers, a seasoned professional in the area of housing in Africa, the famous Festus Adebayo. We shall bring you that section in no time. But before then, let's take our minds back to major issues that made the news during the week. Welcome back. Remember, it's still the Sunday Show on Africa Independent Television, AIT. And of course, we are discussing housing in Nigeria, the challenges and possible solutions. What can the people do? Is the government doing enough? Are there new methods of setting up affordable homes? How about tackling corruption in that sector? There are sincerely too many questions begging for an answer. Let McQueen take it up from there.
Welcome to the interview segment on the Sunday show on your channel of choice, AIT. That's the Africa Independent Television. We're reaching you from the capital city, Abuja. And on the interview segment today, we'll be having a chit chat with somebody who is perfect on the issue we're talking about round pegs in round holes. I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Festus Adebayo. He's the Executive Director, Housing Development Advocacy Network. Well, we'd like to say welcome to the program, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay. All right. Every day we hear issues of housing in Nigeria. What does this mean? I'm talking about housing deficit. When we hear housing deficit, what does it mean to have housing deficit?
Housing deficit means the figure of houses that we need to have. When you have 50 people and you have houses, 5 houses, so you can imagine 5 to 50. We have houses of 45. So the one you don't have. Deficit means the numbers we need, the numbers we don't have, the areas we need to cover up. That the housing deficit.
To an ordinary Nigerian, how concerned should we be?
Housing? Housing is key. Housing is so important. Even God, your creator, when he created Adam and Eve, he made one provision.
He made them a place.
And that is called Garden of Eden. That is housing we are talking about. It's so critical. It is when you have a house that you talk of security. It's when you have a house you talk of protection. It's when you have a house you talk of many other things. It is when you have joy. It's when you have happiness. How will you have done a Christmas when you don't have a place? How will you have raised up your children when you don't have a roof on your head? That is how. Housing is key. It has a lot of effect. Spiritual, economic, social. Think of it.
This is interesting. So, in what areas do you think individuals or governments have a role to play to tackle this particular challenge?
We all as individuals have a role to play.
So let's talk about the individual role, then we'll talk about the government role.
Recently, we started with campaign of enlightening individuals, workers, civil servants, on how they can possess their possession by themselves.
Possessing
their possession.
Okay, how? This is, can you break it down, please?
Meaning how they can have a woman at least having a roof, if it's just a bedroom, for instance. On that note, instead, go and form a cooperative. If you are in rural areas, you can buy land from a money. That is rural area. That is in your village. When you come to the city, it is not the same. We all know what is happening. That the access to land. The land, government is the owner of the land.
Yes.
Our land use act is there. Land is on the concurrent list. Even if the federal government want to build houses, there are some places they have to call the state government and the land. Go and check in Europe. Go and see what FHA is doing. But as an individual, you can help yourself by buying a land. We have said it, and we are repeating it. One of the best ways government can solve this housing problem is to create site and services scheme here and there. What does that mean? Make land available. Give them the opportunity to pay for that land, little by little. Meaning, if you give my driver a land, he will come up with an idea of how to build it. Either he will go there every weekend with his wife and children and see how they can support the bricklayer in ensuring that they start moving.
And that will cut a lot of costs.
And yes, so they can start with 1 bedroom. They can now spare, get themselves relief from the problem of rent. They move from one to the other. The day they are able to get some opportunity in the office, they start changing it, bringing an extra. Well, we call it incremental housing.
Incremental housing. Wow.
Meaning, from 1 bedroom is going to 2 bedroom. That may take him 3 years, that may take him 4 years, it doesn't matter. But the major issue is that he has gotten an access to land. So access to land is critical for that individual that we are talking to start the journey of owning a house. So as individual, there are many ways we can help ourselves. As far as we have an office, you are working, your cooperative should not only be used for sharing bag of rice.
And that brings to mind discipline. The individual also has to be disciplined. He must be morally upright to want to develop himself to the point where he will need to have a roof over his head.
I think it's what it was Nelson Mandela that said that a man is not a man until when he has a roof on his head.
A man is not a man.
Until when he has a roof on his head.
Wow.
Well, one of the factors that qualify you as a man is that roof on your head. So don't say you are now a man. You are not yet a full man until when you have a roof on your head. You are a man by having family, wife. But please, don't stop there. Take a step further. We are talking about discipline. Every great thing in life is a product of sacrifice. Instead of you to eat 3 plates of food in a day, you are eating 2. Then you are keeping the last one to save for a house. That is why I get mortgage. But in Nigeria, even for the ordinary man to go and get mortgage, it's difficult. The interest rate is not affordable.
I was going to ask, how does the government come in?
So government coming in. Government should make land accessible. Government should make a mortgage system affordable.
Flexible.
Affordable. A good mortgage does not go beyond 1 digit. Today in Nigeria, the only organization that is offering 1 digit interest rate is Federal Mortgage Bank. And that is 6%. You cannot go to commercial bank to get a loan to build your house. You pay that money for that house 3 times. So that is not encouraging. So this area government can help. The building materials is rising up every day because of the foundation. Your naira is losing value.
Yes.
And here in Nigeria, the only thing you do, you like eating something that you don't produce. You love importing.
We love.
You love it.
You
love it. you understand? So on that note, some of the building materials that we are bringing in because of the problem of foreign exchange, they are very costly. Recently, I discovered that even the iron rod problem, they will tell you the gauge is 10. After you pay them, you get to the site. You discover that the gauge is 8. Corruption. So you now discover that you are seeing building collapse here and there. These are the issues. When you are supposed to use 10 mm, somebody told you it's 10 mm. You went and used it. You're going to say for 2-3 story building. You discover later.
Don't you think where expertise is also to blame in this particular situation? Let's say it's an expert that's been given the contract to do the construction, and he goes to the place where he needs to buy the rod, the 10 mm, and if he sees that it's not 10 mm, at least he will know.
I will not agree with you that the expert is not the professional. The majority of the people building houses are not using professional. The majority of them are using quack.
That is where
nowadays I see this type of engineer everywhere. Even doctors are becoming everywhere now. Doctor.
Yeah, you have a chemist, you become a
doctor. No. Some people just get that. It's very easy to get. Just get some money, you pay some people, and they just start bearing doctor. You know what I'm saying? So it's a problem in our country. So there are a lot of people who are. I remember I saw a guy who's a mechanic, and he told me he's an engineer. And he said, we cannot even disagree between a mechanic that is repairing motor and the mechanic that is a construction engineer. It's a problem.
Yes.
So what I'm saying. So when you engage the services of the real professional, who is trained for that profession, if you do any shortcuts, you can report him to his professional body. And on that note, you will be punished.
So he will also work to defend his title
Yes.
and integrity.
You get it? So how do you make mistake by calling 1210 and you are able to discover, then you report it.
Now it goes back.
But the other man, the quack, has no place to report him.
So it now goes back to the individual who is trying to cut cost just because he wants to get the job done, and he rather use the quack to get the job done, and at the end of the day, he will lose he will lose twice what he would have gotten.
It's like somebody who said education is expensive.
Mm.
So let him give ignorance a trial.
Oh.
You know that ignorance is more expensive than Do you know that's what it is?
With the emergence of technologies here and there, all over the world, how can Nigerians or the government key into talking about key into helping reduce the level of scarcity in housing?
I must inform you that we are now in the era of PropTech. PropTech. That's property technology.
Okay.
So the young ones we are seeing around, all those young men, the Gen Zs, and all that, you see that they are coming up with new ideas. So even if you are an engineer now, and you have been an engineer for 15, 16 years, and you are not updating yourself, the boys will back you. So we are in the era of PropTech, where we are using this PropTech to do a lot of things in the real estate sector. For instance, I can sit down here and visit somebody's site in my office. I go on the PropTech, I go there, I visit the site, I interact with people, I see a lot of things. Yes. You know what I'm saying? I get back on the top, virtually, into that site. I will negotiate and do a lot of things. So technology is helping us. We are buying things into the sites without even going there physically. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of things that we have been, I must even tell you here that COVID-19 have made a lot of things change.
Yes, true.
So that also have helped our sector. Our sector is not obsolete. Our sector is increasing in the area of technology every day. We are talking of building technology. We are not talking of green housing, where we don't need to use generator. What I see using generator for? By the way, the cost of fuel is even high. We are not talking of green housing, where you are just tapping into the renewable energy. Where you come to your studio, there's no light, and in your studio, we are having a beautiful interview, and we see light here and there. That is the new era we have. We are not in the era of the way we used to do it. Things are changing. I mean, I must even tell you that even the university, curriculum in the area of engineering, quantity surveying, estate management, are all changing.
Very well. All right, you're still watching AIT, talking about the Sunday show, and we're having a very robust session with the man himself, because this is a situation where everybody is involved. You and I are involved, and it is interesting. And it's not a mistake having to have a session with you, sir. It's not a mistake. So we have seen magnificent houses all scattered around the capital city and some areas in Nigeria, and the situation, especially within Abuja and many other places. But many of these houses are not occupied. What do you think is the challenge? And people are talking about housing and talking about rent, and we have a lot of buildings, magnificent buildings in the city, but they are not occupied.
Let me inform you, this is a very big area that the government must look into. Are they hearing about empty houses? Empty houses in the last few years, we have a lot of them in the Federal Capital Territory. The owner of the property is in Maitama. The other property in Asokoro, the person there is in the guard. And the other one in Ikeja in Lagos is also the guy that is living there. The one in Port Harcourt is also the guy that is living there. Whereas there are a lot of people who have been working for 20 years, 25 years, they cannot even afford to buy a one-bedroom flats. This is bothering us. This is worrisome, and it must be addressed by the government. What is the cause? The cause is that the government is building houses for those who do not need the houses.
Government is building houses for those who
Who
do
do
not.
not need it. You already have.
How can you buttress this, sir?
Hey, what it means is that the prices of those houses they are building, the people who can afford it are those ones that already have one. Those people that really need the houses, they don't need houses of 20 million. They don't have 20 million. So if you want to help them, you subsidize the houses.
Okay.
And bring it to the level of the affordability. Go and bring me a director in the ministry. Let him come and let's do the portion of his money, whether I can afford to buy a house of 20 million. This is what is also encouraging corruption. There's no way I will have worked in the ministry for 25 years. And I'm leaving next year. And I just got into the position of a director. So where am I going to live when I retire next year? And you say I should not do corruption. So this is an issue the government must address. Housing for those people that really need the houses must be provided.
No,
The workers, the journalists. I have heard Wicked providing houses for the judges in Abuja. When is he going to provide for the journalists? What are the doctors that are going on strike every day? I don't know about that.
Very.
So that is the point I'm saying. The people that really, really need the houses don't have the affordability. In fact, they don't even have the right again. They are not leaving massacre in Abuja to Kafi. Because those who wanted to buy houses have not gone to estate developers and now discovered that the houses, the prices they are calling, they cannot afford it. It's high. And because they cannot afford it, what are they going to do now? The wife has to look at the husband. Connie, you have to continue with the rent. That is why the rental market is jumping up.
Going high.
You get what I'm saying?
You will notice a house not even completed. People are already.
You get what I'm saying? In Abuja, you see people living in Akori settlements or other area. They are chasing those people living in the Akori settlement to Waru. So they are scared of the city. Because the man here has to increase the rent of his house. And don't forget, the man that owned the house in the Akori settlement, he has also, the inflation is affecting the money he's collecting there. The prices of fuel, the electricity, and they said they're also going to increase the prices of even the telephone call. So the man also have to, after all, the man is a pensioner. He also has to increase the price. That is why you see the rental market in mess. Now, the rental market is coming up because those who are supposed to buy their own house, their money is not enough to buy the house. So they have to continue with the rental market. By the way, they can still afford to stay in Akko settlement. They can still live around within the city. So those who are in the city before have to go to Massacre and Mararaba. And those who are in Massacre are not going down. That is the situation. Government must understand that housing is key. The economic contribution of housing is massive. Let me tell you, when the project is going on, you see a bricklayer, a mason, you see a carpenter, you see the woman selling food, you see the Okada that's bringing people to the place.
It's already a business.
You see it?
It's already a business.
It's a business. The multiplier effect is huge. Come, if you promise me a house and you want me to go to farm, and as I'm going to farm, I see the site where the work is going on, I will concentrate in working in the farm. I will not go and join Boko Haram. If I have a hope to own a house 2 years after, I will not go and join Boko Haram. And if you give me a 1-bedroom, I will think of having a wife. To be a responsible man. And when I have a wife, and you are calling me to come and join your gang of criminals, to come and help, you can answer you. I will have to consider the interests of my children, my child, my wife. So that is the area government have to use housing to solve the problem of insecurity. Use housing to solve the problem of food scarcity. I've read in the news the numbers of farmers that are being killed in the northern part of the country. What is going to be the effect of all those things? The food scarcity will happen. Because those who are going to the farm are being killed. So what are we doing about this?
And the ones that are alive are afraid to
are afraid to go to the farm. You get what I'm saying? These are issues. So the government has to come up with a holistic approach to solve the problem of this country. Housing must be given priority. The government must have political will to make our mortgage system to work. all over the world. Houses are not buy on cash and carry. He's even a young boy in Canada. He's thinking of how to own a house when he gets a job and be paying instrumentally. We don't have that here.
We don't have that kind of.
We don't have that here. How many people do you think Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria can provide houses for? Yes, I'm a contributor to National Housing Fund, but they will not be able. How many? Government need to do more in the area of intervention for home ownership.
You have already you have answered the question I was going to ask, because I was going to ask you to how you would advise the government. But then you have already said a lot on that. But I want to still ask, there are areas, if you go to some places, there are houses that have been built over 10 years, 20 years, and you still see the landlords increasing their house rents. Now, this question goes to mind. Is it that they still buy blocks to still build the houses? Is that not part of corruption?
I have told you before. The man who worked for 30 years in the ministry, and the only thing we could take away, he just a 3-bedroom. I mean, 3-bedroom, two 3-bedroom. So he's living in one.
And he's renting one.
And he's renting one. He has many children. Those some of them are graduated. But they are in America, in London. The situation in Nigeria today, all of them are just married. And the man wants to survive. Where do you think the man will get to survive? They are not increasing the pension. But the man is using the car. And the fuel price have increased. The electricity price have increased. The electricity problem. You get what I'm saying? So the man because of the inflation. So to answer your question in just a simple way, inflation is what makes the man to increase. Because that is only survivor he has. Not that he's buying a new block, he's not buying anything, but also note, the house also need maintenance. We need to discuss later the attitude of some tenants, the way and the manner they use some houses, and if you want to give to another person, you need to spend a lot of money. So, but what I am saying above everything is the government must have the political will, political interest. I read it in the newspaper yesterday that the Senate Committee on Housing were asking the Ministry of Housing that how is the scheme affecting the ordinary citizens. Yes, I know it's affecting the ordinary citizens in the area of creating jobs, but I'm not sure ordinary citizens can afford the houses. So that's where I have to call the president, Tinubu, to come and do something. Nigeria need housing. Use housing to come back in 2027. Use housing to come back in 2027.
It's not about going from state to state to
No, use housing. Help Nigeria to have access to affordable housing. Basic and decent housing. What majority of Nigerians are living in today is not basic housing, not decent housing. People are just to enter and sleep. And once you sleep in the wrong place, what happens? We have done our research. A man who sleep under the bridge, and the one who slept in a beautiful place, the one that slept under the bridge, when he get to the office, because they can't get an avenue to sleep.
True.
But the one that slept in a good place, we see the productivity. So housing affects productivity. Housing affects health. Because when you also sleep in a bad place, you are prone to be sick, have malaria. So that is why I said government must speak interest in housing.
Housing is
and the governors must support because they are the one that have land. Governors, we must take our campaign not only to the national level alone, but we must take it to all the state
and local government.
Thank you, or the local government. Housing is key. Housing is important. We can use housing to solve the security problem. We can use housing to solve problem of health. We can use housing to solve the problem of productivity of food. If I have a house, what am I looking for?
Housing.
What am I looking for?
Housing is connected to everything.
Many things. After I work at the end of the day, I need to go somewhere. And if you have chased them to go and live in the satellite town, please provide the infrastructure. Let there be water there. Housing is not the same when there's no access, when there's no amenities.
All right. So that's what we'll be taking on the interview segment on the Sunday show this beautiful Sunday morning. It's been a loaded session with my guest, and I really, really do appreciate his presence and his time. He's a very busy person. So I would like to say thank you very much for this session. And as you continue watching AIT, we'll be taking you back to the studio for continuation of the program. It's still the Sunday Show.
Grab your seats and join us on the most fascinating 60-minute infotainment journey, showing on your favorite TV channel, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Analysis on topical national issues, news, sports, and entertainment are on the menu. It's a show you do not want to miss. It is The Sunday Show.
Wow, hope you enjoyed every bit of that interactive section. For me, I can see that as enormous as the challenges are, they can be addressed at least to a reasonable extent. The need for purposeful leadership at every level of government again resonates, but just as we make demands of what the government should do for the citizens, it is expected that the privileged citizens should try and make life more meaningful for others. At this point, we take a break for vibes and views, as well as sports. Personality of the week is also in the card. Just stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the Vibes and Views segment on this Sunday show. I'll take you through some of the captivating, hilarious, good and not so good, yet remarkable events that shaped the outgoing year 2024. My name is Anu Awojobi. You're welcome. For me to come out, it must be Awards. On June 30th, Nigerian music sensation Temilade Okpeniyi Temsi's hit song, Me and You, won the Dr. Bobby Jones Best Gospel and Inspirational Song category at the 24th edition of the Black Entertainment Television Awards BET, held in Los Angeles, California, United States. The 20th edition of the African Movie Academy Awards, AMA, saw Ghanaian actress Jackie Appiah win the Best Actress in a Leading Role for the movie Red Carpet, while Nigerian filmmaker Femi Adebayo won the Best Actor in a Supporting Role for his film Jagun Jagun. Jagun Jagun! Weddings. Can one forget the conjugal bliss between Chioma and Davido, Moses Bliss and Marie Wiseborn, Vicky James and Femi Atere, Queen Mercy and David, among other weddings? I just can't get you out of my mind. Get you out of my mind. Now to calls for a reunion of the defunct music groups, Plantation Boys and Star Plus. What have you been up to?
Yeah.
Musically, business-wise, anything-wise?
Yeah, I've been doing some work overboard, you know. I'm the CEO of Loud Entertainment, and I have my people, my partners that we work. So we have a label that we're really trying to bring out some new artists and different artists. So it's been keeping me busy, and I've been doing some projects, some Blackface Nigeria project, some projects for some artists in the record label, and some project also for some other artists in the label like Plantation Boys, and I'm working on the next album.
You did make a call for a comeback of Plantation Boys. Yourself, Face, and Two-Face. What informed that?
I'm trying to keep the name alive regardless. So I just call them out. If they don't have any ultra or hidden agenda, they should be able to understand that this is the band. Everybody wants to see the Plantation Boys, not only in Nigeria, but all over the world. So I believe what transpired then was they had offers, and they decided to take the offers against being in the band till today. They've never been anything personal about anything. Even if we war against ourselves or throw tantrums. It comes with the business. It comes with the show business.
Okay, and have you tried reaching out to Face and to Baba?
Yeah, I've talked to Faze. You know how it's always gonna be. He always gonna be like, yo, whatever you and Two-Face have in between, you guys squash it. But we don't have anything in between. It's either they want to do it or they don't want to do it.
From there, we move on to scuffles. From the clash between the P-Square brothers, Peter and Paul Okoye, to the Dayo Amusa versus Femi Adebayo heated banter.
The winner for tonight is Oshie.
Following the announcement of Bob Risky as the best female dressed at the movie premiere of Ajakaju, Beast of Two Worlds, held March in Lagos.
If you love my brotherhood, if you come to my hood, if you claim sisterhood.
Arrests. The EFCC versus Bob Risky. Nigeria Police versus Very Dark Man. The Police versus Portable. We move on to festivals. From the Agungu Fishing Festival held March in Kebbi State, to the Lagos Boat Regatta, the New Yam Festival in the southeast, the annual Calabar Carnival, the Olojo Festival in Ile-Ife, to the Lagos Fashion Week, among other events, shaped the world of showbiz. Finally, we move on to deaths. The demise of creatives such as John Okafor, Mr. Ibu, Jimmy Sholanke, Elizabeth Evueme Ovaleria, Onyenka Owenu, Junior Pope, Sisi Quadri, Adejumoke Aderomu, Adedeji Adeyemi, Zulu Adigwe, Amechi Monago, among others, dealt a heavy blow on the entertainment industry in Nigeria. That's my package for you on the Vibes and Views segment on this Sunday show. My name is Anu Awojobi.
Grab your seats and join us on the most fascinating 60-minute infotainment journey, showing on your favorite TV channel, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Analysis on topical national issues, news, sports, and entertainment are on the menu. It's a show you do not want to miss. It is The Sunday Show.
I get a lot of questions bordering on rent increments in Nigeria. Now listen, kindly know that when it comes to rent increments in Nigeria, there is no actual stipulation as to the exact amount to be charged as increments in Nigeria. What the law frowns at is arbitrary increase in rent, that is excessive increase in rent without recourse to agreement or system. Landlords generally has been prohibited from arbitrary increase in rent unless same has been stipulated in the tenancy agreement. That is where the rent review clause comes in. The rent review clause, simply put, there is a section in your tenancy agreement, let's just say a paragraph in your tenancy agreement that stipulates that both parties have agreed upon, that's the landlord and the tenant, has agreed upon that this is how the rent should be increased during the running of this tenancy. But looking at plethora of decided cases, this is what the courts assume as the best practice to be adopted before a rent is increased in Nigeria. One is that it must not be more than 50% of the current rent. Assuming you are paying 300,000 naira, a rent increase from 300,000 to 450,000, it is okay. But a rent increase from 300,000 to 500,000 is excessive, is deemed excessive in law. Secondly is that rent should not be increased every year. a periodic gradual increase is advised. If at all, rent should be increased. It should be 2 to 3 years, something like that is acceptable, but not every year. The law frowns at that. Thirdly is that sufficient notice must be given to the tenants before the increase in rent. Yes, it is advisable that the tenants be given at least 6 months notice before the expiration of his current tenancy. This is to enable him to either pay the increase in rent or look for another property. But if you are a tenant living in Lagos State, Section 37 of the Tenancy Law of Lagos State stipulates that if you feel the increase in your rent is unreasonable, you can actually challenge it in court by making an application to court to declare that the increase in your rent is unreasonable. But before the court will do that, the court will look at 3 factors. What is the amount payable by similar apartments in that locality? The second one is if there is any special circumstances relating to this property in question. The third, of course, is the evidence of the parties. Now, if the court is satisfied that the increase in rent is unreasonable, the court will order that a specific amount be paid. If after the court's order, your landlord still refuses to collect this money, the court will ask that you pay this money to court. Now, the condition precedent to your landlord collecting this money is that when he finally gets to court to take this money, 10% will be deducted before this money will be handed over to him. I remain yours truly, the legal celebrity.
Yes, this is where we call it a day. The curtain is just about to drop on the show today. Please join us again next week for another exciting episode. Remember to also interact with us through our social media platforms. I urge you to be the reason someone is happy and hopeful. Do have a fulfilled week out there. Bye now.